is a private limited company, and this private limited company is into analogy that they will appoint joint auditors. The joint auditors A, B, C are appointed, and A, B, C are appointed, and there is one issue in the company which all the joint auditors have agreed as a common area, that is provision on gratuity, where there is a disagreement among all the joint auditors on the actuarial valuation. Now in such case, each of the joint auditor, what they did, they appointed their own respective actuarial expert. Each of them gave the report. A got a report from his own actuarial expert, B got the report from his actuarial expert, C got the report from his actuarial expert. Later, A and B came together. A said that we will go as per the actual report given by the B. Whereas C said, no, I don't agree with both A and B. So C said, I want to give a separate opinion. Now in this case, what has happened, A and B has relied upon the work of the expert who is appointed by B, and subsequently what happened, the report was found to be faulty. Now please highlight what is the responsibility of these auditors. How do you deal with this with the standards on auditing? This is a very good question which is intermoving the provisions of SA 299, responsibility of joint auditor, and SA 620, using the work of the auditor's expert. First of all, here expert is a person or an organization who has got in-depth knowledge, and skill in any area other than accounting and auditing. So when the experts are required for, say, actuarial calculation of the liabilities associated with the provision for gratuity, now in relation to employee benefits. So in such case, what happened when you take the help of the auditor's expert? So in such case, what happens? The auditor will be solely responsible for his opinion, even though he has relied upon the report of the expert. His responsibility will not be reduced when he uses the work of the auditor's expert. Now here, since the expert is appointed by the respective joint auditor, they will be solely responsible for their respective work. The auditor shall evaluate the adequacy of the auditor's expert work for the auditor's purposes actually here, including the relevance and reasonableness of the expert's finding or conclusions and their consistency with other audit evidence as per the SA 500. That's the thing here. Now in such case actually here, when these experts so what we have to look into, we have to look into the relevance and reasonableness of expert findings and their conclusion and their consistency, these conclusions consistency with the other audit evidence. So whether this adequate, whether the work of the auditor's expert is adequate for the purpose of audit, we have to check. Now SA 620, what it highlights actually, that if the expert work involves significant assumptions and methods, then the relevance and reasonableness of those assumptions and methods must be evaluated by the auditor. So they have made significant assumptions, so you have to evaluate those assumptions. You have to check the relevance of those methods. Now the auditor's expert, basically he uses the certain source data, so you can check the relevance, completeness and accuracy of the source data, whether that source data is correct or not. Is it correct or not? That you have to check. So you have to check the relevance and reasonableness of assumptions, relevance and reasonableness of methods used by the expert, and also relevance, completeness and accuracy of the source data in that particular circumstances. Now in the given case, what has happened, my dear soldiers, the XYZ, they are jointly appointed by the auditor, and so the expert, basically what is happening is that he's considered. So since you have an auditor ABC, and ABC is appointed jointly as an auditor, so in such case what has happened, they have their own respective expert for the gratuity scheme. Now here, since A says I will rely upon the B's report, fine. So and C disagrees. So C has to express a separate opinion, separate from the A and B. Separate opinion to be given, and in other matter paragraph, C and both A and B should mention that the other auditor has given a separate opinion and they have not relied on that opinion. Like that, they have to highlight that. That's the thing here. Okay. And here in this case, whenever you're using the auditor's expert work, you have to see the relevance and reasonableness of assumptions methods used by the expert. You have to see the completeness of the data. You have to check all these things. Now, A and B has relied upon the work of expert and they have given an opinion, but the work of the expert remains to be faulty. Then only A and B will be responsible. They cannot shift their responsibility to the expert. Here, the auditor C, one of the joint auditors C, will not be liable because he has issued a separate report altogether. So this is how we have to conclude the answer. A very interesting question given by the examiner. Very interesting question.